What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Mack, one of the hosts of the Black Heroes podcast, and I'm back with another Mike in his manga video. And this time, this is going to be the caught up edition. So, pretty much, we're going to be talking about all the mangas that I currently have fully collected to, but not completed. So anything that's at their latest release. And I wanted to do this one because I just wanted to talk about the ones that I took the time out to really catch up to and make sure that I had fully in my collection. Up to the latest release, and the ones I'm looking forward to having completed. Now, I also plan to do a completed edition to where I talk about everything that I have fully completed, to where I'll talk about the stories and stuff. But for this one, I just want to talk about the ones that I have caught up to and what they mean to me and stuff like that. So, I'll be showing the first and the caught up volumes, and then throughout the video I'll be showing shots of the volumes all the way completely together, stuff like that. But so if you like the video, please make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment on the mangas I talk about. Also be sure to subscribe, because I'm trying to bring out more content like this, because manga content is actually pretty fun to talk about what's in your collection. And also we have a Patreon now, so if you can join the Patreon, link will be in the description. I think we just got the help me tier, so we don't really have any bonuses yet, but as we grow with y'all, we'll be sure to add in more bonuses and things like that. But aside from that though, let's get it started. Let's start with Black Clover. So with Black Clover, I have volumes 1 through 24. To talk about this story real quick, honestly, it's my favorite new gen. Well, it's tied with Dr. Stone and Jujitsu Kaizen as my favorite new gen. The thing about Black Clover to me is that Black Clover is very shonen. So, as somebody who's intaken a lot of shonen, I've read a bunch of shonens and I've watched a bunch of shonens growing up. I actually know a lot of the tropes and stuff like that. So, when I hear people complain about oh, Black Clover just follows so many tropes, it actually puts a very good twist on a lot of those tropes. So, for people who say that it just feels like generic shonen, it's funny because they normally only seen one or two big name shonen. So they probably seen Naruto or Fairy Tail or maybe One Piece. But as far as the whole spectrum of shonen, they honestly haven't seen it, and I know this because I'll see some of these same people talk about how, oh yeah, I'm getting into this shonen now, or I'm tackling this shonen now, and I'm like, I thought you knew all the shonens. So it's always funny to me with that. But yeah, with Black Clover, it puts these interesting twists on shonens, and the fact that the creator knows the genre so well, it just astonishes me, and it makes me very proud as a shonen fan to have a story like this that knows how to tackle these tropes and makes them understandable. So that's about it for Black Clover. I'm very happy to have it in my collection. Can't wait to have it finished in the next I'm giving it 5 years until Black Clover's finished. So this will probably be the first manga in Jump since I want to say Gintama ended that will probably go past 10 years. So let's see what happens though. But now let's move on to the next one. So the second manga I got up is Boarding School Juliet. I have volumes 1 through 13 of this one, and this might be my favorite rom-com. I have another manga that I'll bring up later in the video that rivals it to me, honestly, but to talk about Boarding School Juliet real quick, this tackles race and segregation in a very interesting way, while also making it a rom-com and making it a very enjoyable love story. So to see the main characters, which are Juliet and Romeo, have to go through and hide their relationship and try to push forward their ideal of stopping the segregation of their two countries, and seeing the people that come in and they see their efforts, so they support them too, and to see the fruit that it bears of the young generation trying to put change into society. It's just something that was really great to see. And honestly, I've read up to the final chapter, online and stuff, so I'm happy to have this one on there. And I think this goes to 16 volumes, so there's only 3 left. So when the completed edition of this video comes out, then I'll be sure to talk about this again. But for now, I'm just happy to have it in the collection. Can't wait to have it finished and fully collected because I love this story dearly. Now let's move on to the next one. The next one is Dr. Stone. Yeah, like I said, Dr. Stone is tied with Black Clover and Jujitsu Kaizen is my favorite new gen. So currently I have volumes 1 through 15. I believe 16 is coming out soon, but it hasn't officially come out yet. And to talk about Dr. Stone, what? Dr. Stone is so fun. Like, and if you go through the anime is very fun. But with the manga, it's hard to top Boichi art. All right, Boichi has some of the best art in Jump history. Okay, and man, like the things you learn from Dr. Stone, but also the characters that you learn about and how you see them grow and how you see them develop and mature. Senku as a main character is amazing, and I don't know, man. It's just the ideals of how what they introduce at first between Senku and Tsukasa. Like, hey, we can rebuild the world versus no, we need to bring back the world. Like, that was amazing. And then when you move it forward into the mystery on how everybody got encapsulated in stone for 3,700 years, like that is just so great to see. And it's so fun at the same time, man. So like, I'm so happy to have Dr. Stone in my collection. I'm happy to have been reading it. I mean, the art in this is amazing, all right? You know what I'm saying? So you definitely, if you can't get Dr. Stone. But, well, I mean, get everything that I'm recommending on here. But yeah, like, I love Dr. Stone so much. But it's time to move on to the next one. So next up, we got Eden Zero. This is the third work of Hiro Mashima. I have been blessed, yes, I count it as a blessing, to have been able to follow all 3 of his works, Rave Master, Fairy Tail, and Eden Zero now. Well, technically 4, because, I mean, 100 Years Quest counts too. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just happy to have this one because I'm a huge fan of Mashima. And for this, I have volumes 1 through 10. And, but Eden Zero, while it does feel like Fairy Tail in the beginning, you know where it breaks off into its own thing. And I feel like for some of the seriousness that Fairy Tail gets into kind of later down the road, Eden Zero has that same playful start, but it quickly kind of hits into the more emotional, like, you know, just the emotional pieces and the more serious arcs very like quickly. So I always appreciated that. And another thing I can appreciate is the art. As I said, I've been following Mashima since Brave Master. I know where his art started, which was always good, but to see how it is now and then to see just the improvement on what's already great has been phenomenal. So I mean, I'm happy to have this in here. I'm gonna like hope this goes for like a 10-year run or something like that. And I'm very interested to see where the story goes, because right now it's fire, boy. So that's it for that one. Now let's move forward. Next up, we have Fairy Tail, 100 Years Quest. This is the actual sequel work to Fairy Tail. So this is the continuation of Fairy Tail, where they tackled the 100 Years Quest that Gildars was unable to finish. So for this, I have volumes 1 through 6. To speak on this, I actually want to just like tackle the art real quick, because this is actually done by, notice I said it correctly, Atsuo Ueda. So the story is still being written by Mashima, but the art is being done by somebody else. And it literally took me like, I think 30 chapters to realize it. Granted, I could have just read the artist title, but I never noticed the art was different, so I didn't care. And like that part was so amazing. But to talk on the actual story, I'm loving how Mashima is progressing with this to still keep it Fairy Tail, but then to also like jump right into the heat of what he left off on. So I was very impressed with how he handled that. And I mean, for where it's going, for what they're introducing, the scale of what they're introducing, it never feels like too much. It feels just right all the time. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of Mashima, so I mean, like, I'm going to enjoy myself either way. Also a huge fan of Fairy Tail, so I mean, if I have more Fairy Tail content, I mean, why would I say no? So definitely, Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest. If you read all through Fairy Tail, if you watched all through Fairy Tail, be sure to get this. But that's it for that one. Now let's move forward. Next on the list is Goblin Slayer. So I have volumes 1 through 9. And if you know when the anime came out and all the stupid controversy that came out with Goblin Slayer, I mean, it was so stupid. Like, people were treating, like, the stuff that happens to women was being done by him when he was saving people. I don't get it. That was dumb. But to speak on Goblin Slayer, I'm not sure where I would have this in like a top 20 or top 30. But I mean, this is definitely one of my favorites. This is a beautiful story of showing how to make a person heal. Like the importance of sticking with someone who's damaged, because that's the main thing with Goblin Slayer. It's not that he's a bad dude. It's not that he's rude or anything like that. He's just traumatized and he's dealing with grief, and he's been through a life that now what he should value as common sense, he just looks as like irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? So regular conversation, checking on people, or just trying his best to really make sure he's an approachable person. He just doesn't care about that, but he's still a good person at heart. So to see that good person be able to grow into like a regular human being again, slow as it's going. Because I mean, hey, you gotta go through a lot of stuff. He went through 5 years of doing solo Goblin Slaying. That's gonna mess up anybody's mental. And it just feels appropriate to like appreciate this story. And also I should mention the art in Goblin Slayer is top tier, as well as the ladies. Like, was it Kosuke Kurose? You know how to draw you some women. But yeah, so if you can, check out Goblin Slayer. It's a great story. I love it so much. But now let's move on to Goblin Slayer side story year 1. So yes, I have the spin-off series of Goblin Slayer as well. So I have volumes 1 through 5 for this one. This actually goes and details Goblin Slayer starting off as an adventurer. So it's 5 years prior to Goblin Slayer, where he's just a 15-year-old kid. He's joining the guild and he's fresh off his training. You see the mistakes he's made. Like, you see where he's very sloppy, whereas like in Goblin Slayer, he's very calculated and stuff like that. So it's interesting because you get depth into Goblin Slayer and also some of the other characters that you didn't think you really wanted, but you definitely needed. So hearing more on how Goblin Slayer thinks, or how he thought while he was like, freshly traumatized off his training, and also what happens to his family, like, it's so interesting to see, mainly for the fact that it just gives you a layer of appreciation for the character that you thought you already had. And honestly, the art is done, I think this art is done by, no, actually it's done by someone else, but I mean, the art's still amazing. And as far as the story goes, honestly, sometimes this does better than the original story, believe it or not. So for the most part, I definitely would say if you can get both Goblin Slayer and Goblin Slayer side story year 1, definitely do it. Light novels, I'm just kind of getting into light novels, so I can't really recommend light novels. But yeah, but for the mangas, get both of these. Fire. But now let's move on. Now let's talk about some real heat. That actually feels disrespectful to Goblin Slayer. Whatever. So yeah, talking about Hell's Paradise, Jigokuraku. This might be tied with Jujitsu Kaizen as the best new gen. All right, I have currently volumes 1 through 7. Okay, to say this is heat is an understatement. This is bona fide like Infernos. Like, this junk is so good, man. So to really talk about it, you have the first chapter developing your main character Gabimaru, to where he starts off not caring about life, not caring if he dies or whatever, and then he meets the female main character Sagari, and she helps him to gain value back to his life, to go on this dangerous mission to try and get his freedom. And honestly, I don't know any stories that's done that before. In the first chapter, the very first chapter, you develop your main character like an entire story's worth, and then have him continue to move forward. Then you move on to this very interesting place that has so much mystery and lore behind it. It has its own power system. The power system is great. Like, the rest of the characters you meet are very interesting and very entertaining, and you have fun with them. I don't think I have a character that I completely dislike. I mean, I got some characters that I don't really care about, but I don't dislike them. So that's one of the cool things about it. It's also very thrilling because bodies be dropping, so you never know. Soon, like when a big battle happens, you kind of stuck like, man, I hope they don't get my boy. Man, I hope they don't get my girl. Yuzu, I love you. But yeah, so you're always on the edge of your seat with this story. The art of it, by the way, is astronomical. Like, I know I was just praising Boichi, but low key he barely touches Jigokuraku. Like, I'm just saying, like, who does this art? Yuji Kaku is this man, Yusuke Murata, Inoue, and Miura, as well as Boichi. They not human. They pen is not human. They some type of machine when it comes to art, because this stuff is beautiful. But yeah, so definitely pick this up. Definitely read this. It's fire. Go and get the name right there real quick. So yeah, definitely read that. But now let's move on to kind of a drop in quality, to be honest with you. Hino Got Crushed. Now this is actually the sequel work to Akame Got Killed. I know a lot of people have issues with the anime, and I don't really see too many people talk bad about the manga. The manga ending is actually very good. The manga story is like 10 times better than the anime. I did enjoy the anime, but you know what I'm saying, like I gotta call a spade a spade. The manga was better. So this is actually the sequel to that. I have volumes 1 through, I think 4. Yeah, 1 through 4. To talk on the story, it is a slow starter. I mean, it took me like the first 3 volumes to really start to like it a lot. And I think it does very well in capturing like a war type situation. And I feel like they're doing a very good job with including Akame, but having her as a support character to Hino, the main character. And I think the real downside to the story is the actual supporting cast. They're just not as good as the 2 leads. So it kind of, you know, like hurts the story a bit. But as far as like the art and stuff goes, the art's amazing. I will say the fight choreography can sometimes suffer from like the artist going a bit overboard with trying to add in like, you know, like side effects and stuff. So that sometimes can hinder it. But for the most part though, it is still an engaging story. So you're still engaged in the world and what's going on in this island and these countries. So I recommend it because it actually is pretty good. But yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just at the time being, it's not heat like Hell's Paradise or something like that. But still do recommend it. But yeah, so that's it for that one. Now let's move on. Let's talk about a funny story called How Heavy Are The Dumbbells You Lift. Now, if you watch the anime for this, English dub by the way, the dub is amazing. You know this is a funny ass story. But the manga is like 3 times funnier. So actually I have a fitness YouTuber I watch named Jax Blades. I need to take his advice more. But yeah, this is his favorite manga, and I can understand why. This, like, it gives you great information about fitness, and it also helps you. By the way, I got volumes 1 through 4. Sorry, best girl. And it gives you great information about fitness. It's funny as hell, but at the same time though, you following these girls on this journey for health and fitness, and just the things that you learn along the way with them, it really makes it engaging and it makes it fun, you know? So it like when you see them exercising and they're having fun and they're looking happy while being, you know, healthier, even though for most people it's like a stressful thing sometimes because it's hard getting fit. So, you know, like having something like this in the arsenal to kind of alleviate some of the stress of trying to get healthier, I find amazing. Also, the art is gorgeous. The fan service is hilarious, to be honest with you. Like, it's not exactly like regular fan. Well, it is kind of like regular fan service, but I don't know. You enjoy it. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it, even if you're a lady. But also, this is also written by the same person that made King and Ashura. So it's kind of funny to see references of a battle, like a gory battle story with fun girls getting fit. So it's pretty interesting to see sometimes. But yeah, so definitely pick this one up. It's hilarious. You'll love it. Now let's move on to Jujutsu Kaizen. Now I'm including the people in this because I mean I didn't know if it was right to just say like I got volumes 1 through 9 and then like count this as its own story. I know some people do, but like it's the same verse. So I feel like I gotta say I got like volume 0 to 9, and I don't know, but real quick on Jujutsu Kaisen, this story is fire, man. This story is fire. This is heat, yo. Like like the only thing I would give Hell's Paradise over Jujutsu Kaisen is the cast. But outside of that, it's hard to say anything right now is better than Jujutsu Kaisen. As much as I love like My Hero Academia, Dr. Stone, Black Clover, I like unbiased, I have to say this is the best story out right now. Or Chainsaw Man. I mean, a lot of people like Chainsaw Man. I'm kind of whatever on it. But yeah, so like this is heat. And like the thing about it is, I think it's the mixture of the power system world and the characters. So while I'm not the biggest fan of the entire cast, the ones that I'm engaged with, they're the ones that I'm like, yo, these people are amazing. As well as the villains as well, because the villains are very captivating and stuff like that too. So as far as what's going on now, I'm having a little bit of issues with the pacing and some things feeling like plot convenience, but like it's not messing up my actual enjoyment of the story. So there's that. But yeah, when this finishes, hopefully not in 2 years, hopefully it's a bit longer. Like this is going to be a classic. And I mean, I'm also a fan of Demon Slayer, but I don't want to disrespect Demon Slayer like this, but Demon Slayer is not a classic. This is a classic shonen that's practically a masterpiece already. So yeah, definitely, if you can start this, it's fire. Believe me, get it. Also get the prequel. The prequel is its own story, but it's also amazing. But yeah, so there you go. And that's all I want to talk about with Jujutsu Kaisen. Now let's move on to Quintessential Quintuplets. Man, before I even start talking about it, I have volumes 1 through 12. I believe Quintessential Quintuplets only has 14, so it's 2 more left. But like, this is the only thing I'll put up with Boarding School Juliet as my favorite rom-com. I don't know, man. Like, the 5 sisters you end up loving. If somebody can honestly tell me they have a pure hatred for one of the sisters, I don't know what you're reading. Like, even for one of them that messes up pretty badly, which is actually my favorite one, like, the way she turns around, the way she handles business, the way she tries to make up for her mistakes, amazing. Like, I'm like, at the end of the story, I never felt that any of the sisters who fell for the main character, I never felt they weren't justified in their feelings. And the main character as well, I never felt he wasn't justified in some of his conflictions with his feelings for the sisters. So it's a story that I feel is compelling, that is consistent, and also the art in this story is amazing as well. But for the most part, with Quintessential Quintuplets, you have a story to where you see all the characters grow in the main cast. Now, supporting cast wise, they don't really matter, but for the most part, with the main cast, you're so in touch with them by the end of the story that you just love all of them, and you're pretty much comfortable with whatever route it goes. So I know the anime is going to go through its own ending instead of going through the manga ending. I think that's stupid. The manga ending to me was really good. So hey, do what you got to do. But yeah, so I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how that happens. But for the most part, be sure to read the manga as well. You won't be disappointed. But that's all I got to say for that one. Now let's move forward. Now let's talk about Radiant. Man, this is a masterpiece. All right, no ifs, ands, buts about it. This right here is a masterpiece. My boy Seth is a GOAT. I also have up to volumes 1 through 13. Melly is also a GOAT. She's my favorite character, honestly. And to talk about this real quick, this story handles racism perfectly. Like, it's not even like classism. Like, Black Clover doesn't work on like racism, it works on classism. But this works on racism perfectly. And to tell you why is because the sorcerers, which are just regular people that have an infection, and they're needed to defeat these monsters in their world, but then they're hated by humans that can't beat these monsters. Like, to see how they touch on that constantly, and they show the hypocrisy of that so amazingly, and then to also show some of the fault on the sorcerer side has been amazing. And also, should I mention, the art is fantastic. Also, fun fact, this is actually a French manga. This is not a Japanese manga. This is made by a Frenchman. And this dude knows how to draw. This artist, drop dead gorgeous. The landscapes and stuff they do is drop dead gorgeous. Do not watch the anime, read the manga. Don't do that to yourself. But yeah, so Radiant, masterpiece. Get this, it's fire, believe me. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that one. Now, let's move forward. Now let's talk about the last one in the caught up edition, and that is Yona of the Dawn. Now, you want to talk about a masterpiece? You want to talk about an amazing female lead? You want to talk about an amazing male lead that will take your lady? This is the perfect manga, to be honest with you. So it tackles the trope, or at least the story of like the pampered princess that ends up growing and understanding her country amazingly. So Like if you wanted your princess to go through and develop, all you need her to do is get kicked out of her country by having somebody assassinate her father, and have her understand her ignorance throughout the country. So there's that. It's also development of the entire main cast, and also very good development for a lot of side characters. The arcs, every time you finish an arc, you feel so fulfilled. Like, but I'm sorry, that was kind of funny. But yeah, so you feel satisfied to the point to where you're like, wow, I got everything I wanted and more. So definitely, like, this is a masterpiece. Be sure to read this. If you watch the anime was cool. They should get a season 2 eventually. I don't know why they haven't been a season 2. It's been like 5 or 6 years. That's so sad. But yeah, this right here is fantastic. So, best female lead ever written. Also, best male lead ever written. And also a very good, compelling love story. I mean, spoilers, I guess, but I mean, whatever. I mean, these two are literally written for each other. Literally. So yeah, that's it for the caught up edition of Mike and his manga. If you had fun with it, let me know. And if you're looking forward to the completed edition, be on the lookout for that. I also have a box set edition coming out too. But yeah, like I said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to support our Patreon, so that way we can grow to give y'all more things in the tiers and stuff like that. But aside from that, man, that's it from me. I just want to say, make sure that you surpass your limits, and plus ultra.
This shit is too easy. Tell them I have no rivals. When I walk up in the spot, they know they nothing to me, and they gotta beg for their survival.